And we would like to welcome Scott Baradell to the program. He is the CEO of Idea Grove, and that is a company in Dallas. He's an expert on branding and trust, and we're going to learn some new things this morning, even some new words like astroturfing. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. So let's get right to it. The word astroturfing comes in. This is all part of that Blake Lively situation. And fill us in on that. That's a situation where I believe she's filed a lawsuit.
Yeah, Justin Baldoni is the name of the director of the film It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively. And what started to happen is during the publicity tour for the film, there started to be on social media a lot of negative things being said about Blake Lively. Like she's a mean girl because she was rude to interviewers and she was out of touch. And suddenly Blake Lively, who had never been someone who people thought particularly ill of, she was seen as kind of she's Ryan Reynolds' wife and seen as kind of a nice person, was being perceived as being in a very negative light. And what came out was not long after that, she filed a lawsuit against the director saying he was behind this, that he had orchestrated what's called an AstroTurf campaign using a PR firm to artificially get all of this negative talk about her out in social media.
Oh, wow. So you can actually hire someone to do this, I suppose. Pierce.
Yeah, well, these days especially, it's always been possible. If you go back to, I think, when astroturfing was coined as a term, and the idea is, of course, is it's a playoff of a grassroots campaign. So a grassroots campaign would be a natural, public sentiment emerging around an issue to hopefully, create change or something. That's where grassroots came from. Astroturfing, obviously based on AstroTurf, is the idea that it's meant to look like a grassroots campaign, but it's artificial. And so the first time that term was used, I believe, was back in when the first Iraq war happened against Kuwait. Kuwait was not particularly well thought of at the time in America. No one particularly cared about it, but Kuwait put a lot of money behind this public, campaign to kind of show that there was this great public interest in defending Kuwait. And ever since then, it's been happening more and more in politics, entertainment, just about any area of life.
I was going to say, I reckon it's something that is often used in politics.
Absolutely, absolutely. And today I think what was really damning in the evidence that came out was, in the text messages between Justin Baldoni, the director, and his PR firm that he had hired that came out in the discovery process of the lawsuit. They were saying things like, "Yeah, we can bury her," or "Here's how we're going to."
Oh my gosh!
Here's how we're going to destroy her career, and so forth. So there are firms that specialize in this, and there are big PR agencies and big branding firms and things that do a lot of other things, but they have a kind of a skunk works operation, as they call it, or a kind of more behind the scenes team of folks that do things like this. So it's kind of it's the darker side of PR, and it's kind of for everyone in the profession that wants to do it the right way. It's an embarrassment.
So is this something where AI is used as well?
Yeah, AI makes things like this much easier. In social media, it's been possible for some time to buy followers, buy accounts, buy people, in the U.S. and around the world to basically say whatever you want to say, and by sharing each other's content, so social media algorithms pick up on that, and more people see it. But with AI, you can automate all that and make it 10 times easier.
Wow. And so a PR person or an agent, what would that is trying to be open and above board, what do you try to do to fend off this kind of stuff?
Well, I think I can't remember who said the famous quote that sunlight is the best disinfectant. And I think what's going to happen here is this PR firm that has had its text messages and things exposed was also the PR firm of Johnny Depp, who was famously in a very nasty lawsuit with his ex-wife Amber Heard, in which there was a lot of defamation that went on. And I think that hopefully, when this kind of thing happens and it's exposed, and the PR firm that does this kind of thing is shown for what it really is, and that it's not doing things that are above board, hopefully they'll be punished. In other words, not legally necessarily, but by its reputation being damaged. So beyond transparency, and if there are FTC violations, the FTC protects against deception in marketing to an extent. So sometimes that might be at play, but in general, just exposing what's been happening and who's doing it, hopefully they'll be, punished in the marketplace.
I don't know how this works, but it sounds to me like you could have a picture that you've got the investors and everything else, and I'm sure they buy 15 kinds of insurance on the thing. And as you go along, you realize it's a bomb. And so that you would be paying somebody to start sabotaging this thing to maybe get the plug pulled, or maybe if you're the actor or actress that you realize this is going to ruin my career, and you get a PR firm to go knock it out before it ever gets on the street.
That's interesting. It sounds like the person who's got the restaurant that's failing, and so they burn it down for the insurance money.
Yeah.
I think that there have certainly been cases where both directors or actors that were part of a project that they wanted to disown, or they didn't like, or they didn't think it would be successful, have done various things to sabotage it. I think in this case, the movie's done decently well, and it's really just a matter of, Blake Lively has made allegations such that he said after he hired her, he said she was too old for the part. He said she was too fat. He said he made her do things that were not in the script in terms of some of the sex scenes and things like that, to which led to a conference during the movie where they had to basically have a contract in writing saying he wouldn't do any more of these things. So in this case, it wasn't so much the movie itself came out okay. It's a decent movie. I've seen it. It's just all the drama that happened during the production led to people initially seeing, hey, these are the things people notice today. Why aren't they following each other on social media? And how come all the cast is following Blake Lively on Instagram but not following Justin Baldoni? And one thing led to another. But despite all this, somehow the movie's done pretty well.
Now, Scott, how does the public know who or what to believe? I mean, there's just fake stuff that goes across our feed all day long, constantly.
It's so true, and it's very difficult, I think. And what makes it worse, as I'm sure you guys know, is all the surveys, public surveys in the U.S. over the last 30-plus years have consistently shown trust in traditional media declining, and it keeps declining. And so in the face of that, there's some research from Pew that researches the media that says about 40% of younger people, 35 and under, and 20% of Americans overall are going first to influencers, to creators on social media as their source of news. In other words, someone like a Joe Rogan as opposed to, traditional news sources. And that's that could be a little scary to think that, because most of these folks are not trained in journalism. However, what people are doing, to answer your question, is these are people they have relationships with who are posting content every single day, and so they built up trust with their audience. So in an environment where people don't know what to believe, they find people that they trust, and they hope that they'll be able to help them figure out what's true and what's not.
And about the unbelievable number of followers a guy like Joe Rogan's got, so
exactly.
His influence is quite strong. Oh my goodness!
Absolutely. I mean, the Trump campaign believes that the fact that he did the interview with Joe Rogan, which got so many views, and Kamala Harris did not that it was the difference in the election, but it was a difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. very well could be the thing that turned things. And we've been speaking to Scott Baradell this morning, and he is the CEO of Idea Grove, and that is a full-service marketing company up in Dallas. He's also the author of a book, Trust Signals, Brand Building in a Post-Truth World. Scott, thank you so much for being with us. Where can our listeners get your book?
Just go to Amazon and look for Trust Signals, and it'll pop right up.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.